is this the new place then? This is different than I remember.
Yeah, so we ended up buying a house here in Westlake, and we spent the whole off season filling it up and making sure it looks all right. Here, let's see if I can turn this around. I don't know if I can, but oh yeah, here we go. I'm like an old man with technology, but yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Woo, look at that.
Wow, that's cool.
The VT, yeah, I mean, it looks good. We have a little gym and a movie room. There's a bit of the gator picture right there, but
there it is.
Yeah, but yeah, there's this is actually pretty cool. I think you guys like this. My agent got me a wedding gift, and it's a Pappy Van Winkle barrel. Of course, with all the family on there, but yeah, beautiful. So that's I get sometimes a little bit afraid my dog will run down here and just absolutely smash into it, but so far so good.
So yeah, how much Pappy do you have now versus when we were hanging out at your old place?
Well, I have all the same bottles. I've just the lot B, I added another lot B, so I had one to actually have on the wall and then one to drink. And right now I'm actually going through a 15 right here. So pretty tasty.
It felt like stealing from you. You gave me a good healthy pour too. That was a couple fingers, I think.
I'm not going to skimp out on pours, man.
Well, it's great to see you, Wyatt. Great to hear you. It's been a bit. Your life has changed quite a bit too since we were hanging out. You're going to be a dad.
I know I'm going to be a dad. I have a house. I have a long contract. A lot has changed. It's been absolutely amazing.
Life is good to be Wyatt Teller, but what is it? 4 years, 56.8 mil? Is that what it came out to pre-taxes?
I get mad at myself. So my college football number was 57, right? And I missed the ball. I should have been like, no, I'm dying on this hill. Give me 56, but I didn't. I thought, hey, they're nice enough to give me what I'm getting. So.
Yeah, I wonder what that's like. How do you kind of squeeze out a little bit more? I just traded out my old truck for a new one, and I tried to squeeze a little bit at the negotiation, like, hey, like another 500 or so. Like when you're working your contract, when it gets to the end, how do you kind of get a little bit more?
Yeah, so usually towards the end, it's like, hey, I think Andrew Berry gave me a call right at the end, and he was like, hey, what matters the most? Like, what do you care the most about? And I was just like, I think that the number we're at is fine. I think that length, I didn't want to have a 5-6 year deal where, I'm 33, 34 going into my third deal. That's an old man. It's hard to get another 3-4 year contract out of there. So, kind of do something where I'm 31, 32. And I thought that was kind of a smart idea.
I mean, it
was funny. He just goes, what matters the most? And I was like, that's it. I don't really care. Let's just get this deal done. I'm ready to go play football. I remember it was halfway through the season. I was like, I'm not worried about this. Let's worry about winning games. But
hey, well,
no team option for $200K at the end there.
Yeah, no, I know. I was like, hey, we couldn't fight to get something on there, but no, it was overall. It was. I didn't really care about. Like I said, I dropped the ball on it. I wasn't even thinking about it. I think towards the end, the number moved a little bit up. We had just played Cincinnati, and we played really well and won a big game. And I remember, he was like, hey, I think that the number you're talking about, we were talking about 14-2. He was like, yeah, I think it's a good number. And he goes, is that where you want to say? And I was like, yeah. So that was kind of like the last second. It's like, maybe I could have pinched out another $50,000 a year. But I'm not crying about it.
Well, it's well deserved. I mean, I've said it a million times on here, but if you were to create like a Jerry West logo for everything that we want Go Long to be, it's Wyatt Teller. It's just, taking names, it's kicking ass, it's drinking whiskey, it's hunting alligators.
That's right.
Yeah, that was such a wild, fun time at your old place. It's just great to have you here. I just figured we'd bring some folks in and shoot the bull. But like, I mean, how is life? First of all, we'll get into football, but like when you find out you're going to be a dad, you've got a new house, like how do you kind of balance that all with, being a Pro Bowl guard and
yeah, no, it's definitely exciting. I think that, starting a family made sense. I know that there's a lot of guys my age who are still, looking for the right girl, whatever's going on. But, I think it was a good step forward. I view a lot of, these little steps as, big monumental things. Owning a house, I think my first house, while being bigger than most people's first house, it's still like, it's a nice feeling to have something that I can call home, as well as, somewhere I can put all my junk. But it's also really cool. Last year getting married, that was a big change. And then, now Carly being pregnant, I mean, it's an absolute blessing. But, I've been trying to sleep a lot this off season, because I know right when that baby comes, there's no more sleep for about a year. So maybe longer. So hopefully, and we found out it's going to be a boy. So that's exciting. So we get to carry on the namesake, which is exciting.
That's awesome, man. Great to hear. How's Carly doing with the pregnancy? Everything good? Doing okay?
Yeah, she's good. She's up and down. I mean, she'll have moments where she's been sick, and other moments where she's gotten her appetite back and stuff. So yes. I think right now, she's in her second trimester. It's kind of the up and down of just feeling good, feeling like crap. The best way she says is, it's like feeling like you're hungover for 5-6 months.
Yeah, that's what my wife said too. Yeah.
And not like a half hungover, like a real hungover. I'm like, no, I can't do it.
Well, the line you have to use, Gina got sick of me using it. It was funny at first, and then it just got old. Is when people ask that question, how things go. You just gotta say, this pregnancy's been tough on the both of us.
It's been rough. It's been rough. But no,
but she's awesome. You hit the jackpot. She's just like incredible in every way. It was great seeing her down there.
I know, and it's amazing how the other week she was actually she went down to Austin to hang out with Baker. With all the stuff going on, it's nice that we still have that, that personable relationship with between Carly and Emily, Baker's wife, as well as Baker and I. I mean, I didn't go down. It was a girls' weekend. That would be kind of weird, but it was he took him out on the boat and he had a good time. But it's that brotherhood that, you gain. And, luckily, it's kind of cool how Carly, kind of facilitated that almost a little bit with Emily. She was best friends with Emily. And then, Baker and I hung out more because of that. But, and then Baker and I obviously become best friends. But, it's kind of funny how amazing she is and how down to earth. And like I said, when she went down there, all of Emily's friends from Nebraska were there. And Carly from Virginia was the only girl that really wasn't one of her high school or college buddies that was there. So it kind of shows you what kind of person she is. And sometimes she gets in trouble on Twitter for being almost too diehard. And if you're on the other side of it, you're like, you always want a loyal person, and I'd say that she's
no doubt
loyal.
Love
she's
that.
A pit bull.
That's what you want. Well, it's a funny story because I've been told Baker Mayfield is a terrible teammate. So I don't know how much credence all that has. He's just a bad guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny how, everybody, and I was talking to someone about this the other day, and there's two ways you can look at it, right? Like a lot of people are, 40, 50, 60 years old, and they're like, oh, how could that person that I look up to mess up? And then I think forget that, oh yeah, that kid's 23 years old. He's a cocky little kid. You know what I mean? It's like, and as the whole thing with Baker being childish went around this offseason, it's funny how Baker just, he had an opinion and he was willing to die on that hill. I mean, there's different kinds of people. I mean, I wouldn't have done it. I probably would have stayed away from all the nastiness, but I think that Baker is entitled to an opinion, and I think he's going to do good things in Carolina. Yeah. I'm excited for him. But I don't think he's going to do good things week one.
Yeah, you can kind of like lean in. Like when you can kind of go full heel. I don't think he's gone like full heel, but you can kind of lean into the controversy and lean into the hate and feed off of it to an extent. I mean, any professional athlete, it's tempting. Like you're not even on Twitter. Like you don't give a shit about any of that. So you're not one of those guys, I guess. But it might be tempting. Like you hear bad things said about you, to somehow lean into it and feed off of it and like try to prove people wrong.
I think that Baker plays really well with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, he's that undrafted free agent guy who is, he made a name for himself being, a chip shoulder, right? Being the undersized guy who outworks everybody else. So I don't know. I think he's going to do good things. But again, he said, I think I said, all I want is that 6 jersey after the game. That's what I texted him after he got traded. We've already talked about, a bunch of stuff, but I was like, yeah, I bet I want that 6 jersey. And he was like, yeah, I bet you'll be in such a bad mood after we whoop that butt that you'll just pout and walk off the field. And I was like, yeah, if you're standing upright, if your tackles can stop our DNs, then yeah, you can. I guess that jersey will be nice and worn in. We're
the trash talk has begun.
It's already started, but no, obviously I want to see number 6 do great things. Well, he's not going to be number 6. That's what's funny. I guess that punter said that they weren't going to give up the jersey.
Punter.
I guess he's made a name being Carolina's kicker, but I don't know.
It's a power move for a punter. I mean, it's pretty ballsy.
Power move.
Yeah, I respect it. I respect it.
Right, well, maybe Baker's met him before and pissed him off or something. He's like, no, I'm not.
He owes a debt, right? There's some kind of debt there that we don't know about.
But yeah, no. So I don't know what jersey's gonna be, but I guess not 6.
All right, I'll shut the hell up. I know we got a few people probably got some questions for you, Wyatt. So let's hear it, guys.
Wyatt, how are you doing, Matt?
Good.
Awesome. So I had a couple questions. First off, could you tell us what the experience of being traded from Buffalo to Cleveland was like? Did you see it coming at all? Was it like a surprise to you? Did it develop a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it was kind of weird. It was kind of, I didn't expect it per se, but I kind of saw the writing on the wall early on in camp. Even if a starting offensive lineman went down, I wasn't really put into the mix, if that makes sense. It was kind of it was only, during practice. It would never be, with the starters during walkthrough or anything like that. I always thought that was weird. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall, but I didn't expect it. I thought to be, maybe that 6th guy in. But, I got caught up in the personal and the business side. I always bring that up, so I won't even get into that. But I guess it was tough, but I think it was needed. I think that I needed an opportunity, a legit chance to start. And when I came here, Dorsey had every thought to have me as a starting offensive guard. So, I remember that last game that I was going to play for Buffalo, I was going to play at tackle. So, I think that, Cleveland still viewed me as a guard, and they wanted me to play and gave me about, I think it was 6 or 7 games to get the playbook in and then start. And, I played all right, and then had a whole full preseason or full off season under my belt, and thanks to Bill Callahan and the rest is history. But I really think that transition, that change, really helped me. Realize the work that I have to put in. I guess a lot of people work hard and get cut and stuff like that. And, it sucks, but that's the only way you have a chance, especially at this level. A lot of people forget, that a lot of people work hard. Everyone works hard. I mean, if you're not working hard, you're not going to last a day. But to actually stay and be consistent on a team, it takes luck and talent and, a lot of things have to go in your direction. But when I got drafted to Buffalo, I remember I thought I was going to be a Buffalo Bill for Kyle Williams forever. I thought that's what I always hoped. I have my jersey right under my Browns jersey, but it's funny how I only spent 18 months in Buffalo, and I love that place. I love Western New York. It's funny how that goes, but again, like I said, the transition, the change to Cleveland, I think was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
It sounds like it was a pretty emotional time too. I remember when you played the Bills, Dion Dawkins coming up to you after the game, and man, he gave you the biggest hug you'll ever see an opposing player give somebody, and it just kind of told me and we got into it a little bit. I mean, you're going through a breakup at the time. I'm there was a lot going on in your life when you were at the Bills, and it's sink or swim. They're throwing you out there, like you said, but that you can get into. How difficult of a time was it in Buffalo, and what did it mean? to play that team. And I mean, that was I didn't see that until after we talked with you and Dion on the field.
Yeah, no, it meant a lot. Dion, it just shows you what kind of character Dion is. But no, I mean, I think that a lot of the NFL, there's lots of players. You can't put stereotypes, but there's some guys that really want to see the success of other players, and then there's guys who are kind of covering their own butts. Dion's one of those guys who wants to see the success of other players. And one offseason, I remember it was the first year that I was there. Going into that offseason, after I started, I think 6 or 7 games, and every day before OTAs or meetings or offseason workouts, I would call Dion or FaceTime him, and we'd go over our plays. And he said that was the nicest thing anybody's ever done to him. I was like, bro, I was just, if you know what to do, I know what to do, and if that's the case, we win. I wasn't I wasn't trying to be a big brother or anything. I was just trying to look out. But no, Dion said, he, I guess from that moment just loved me and, treated me like a brother, which is, all you can ask for. And then as we started playing, he kind of felt like the rug was kind of pulled out from under me. If you watch that video, he goes, I even said, I would love to be playing next to you, but here I am playing on a different team. Luckily we won. So, I'm really happy about that. But yeah, no, you guys were really good that year. And I think you guys went off into a playoff run, but yeah, no, it was emotional, having 30 guys waiting in line, to just, save face and talk to each other. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool moment. And, I guess that happens, you always know a lot of guys, but I guess it felt like I was one of the guys. And that's what hurts is if any of the draft picks can say this that were ever drafted into Buffalo. You get into Buffalo, they start giving you the city 101. Every school, every town, every city does it. But Buffalo is one of those cities. I mean, there's not much going on. You got a blue collar city who truly, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything. You got less affluent community who is willing to eat less steak each year to keep their season tickets. You know what I mean? Like, obviously they're not, it's a hard decision, but it's how diehard the fans are up there and, how loyal they are. And, it's funny. We have a huge fan base and a lot of our fan base is like that, but we also have a very loud fan base because it's Cleveland and, there always has to be some kind of sports news. It's a big sports city, which kind of sucks, but also, we kind of dragged ourselves into that with our quarterback. But, there's a lot of sports news that just goes on in Cleveland and, you try to keep your nose clean and away from it, anything can drag you down, where, I don't see that as much in Buffalo when I was there, but obviously I've been here way longer.
Forgot that's
What's
right.
your drink next?
Drink whatever you want, man. You got a lot of choices there.
Let's do it. Sazerac, Thomas Handy.
Oh man, that was the go-to poison back in my Wisconsin days at Libertine on Washington Street. Sazerac, strong, has a little bite.
129 and a half.
Woo.
Hey.
Yeah. Neat, no ice.
No, just sipping. Nothing too much.
Okay. So is it always neat, or do you ever mix in
No,
ice?
I'm usually an ice guy. I like an ice cube. But I don't know. Yeah, I'll put an ice cube in here. I like actually everybody says like, oh yeah, you're gonna water it down. Well, that's how the best whiskey connoisseurs drink their whiskey is with, no, obviously I don't have mineral ice water from, Kentucky, but I do have, normal ice though.
There was an article in the Wall Street Journal a couple of years ago that said how if you have a couple glasses of whiskey or, 4 or 5 beers, if you reach like that buzz state, it like unlocks creativity in your mind to like be, I don't think you can go play a football game, doing that, but I don't know. I feel like there is something like sitting around having a couple of drinks, thinking about the world, solving problems that, it's going to unlock something that you couldn't
Yeah,
otherwise.
and it's funny how we always solve the world's problems after a night of drinking, and then we never remember it. You know, no, I think that you know, when it comes to like people who are like, oh, you know, I'm more creative, you know, I'm more artistic and stuff. It's like I think that there is something to that. There is a part of
there's a line. There's a you can cross that threshold to like ridiculousness.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And I feel like it's also like, well, yeah, but there's a reason you don't remember it because it didn't make that much sense. It made sense while you were inebriated. But you know, we always used to joke about that in college. You know, we had the best football plays. Oh, after we lost the game, we would come up with the best plays. Show up on Monday, and one of the players would be like, "Yo, bring up that play to coach." And I'd be like, "I don't fucking remember what you're talking about, man." You know what I mean? Like, it was
right.
like that. It's crazy.
It's a great Always Sunny episode when I think they're at their high school reunion and like they show them dancing, like it's perfectly choreographed and everything. And then it flashes to reality and they're all drunk and it's just awful. So, yeah.
Just waving their arms around. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But it's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, what's up?
So I joined my family to the Christmas Day game last year in Lambeau. So that's a game you guys should have won.
Yeah.
But just asking in general if there's any stories you want to share, you know, anything from the locker room afterwards.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a weird game. We had some key positions that went down, and all the positions that we had out, I honestly did great. I mean, we rushed for I think like 250. I don't even remember how many yards, but we were rushing for so much, and you know, the game really did come down to like a couple penalties, and I was one of the guys that got one of them, and you know, I felt like it was kind of like one of those things where it was like, you know, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to lose on Christmas. Yeah, that's how it kind of felt in the locker room after the game.
The fix was in, kind of.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I'm never going to talk about the integrity of the refs. Obviously, they have a very hard job as well as I do.
But that game was awful. That's right. There were some really shitty calls that game.
But that being said, I've had some really shitty blocks. So they're human, I'm human. We've all messed up, right? But it does get sometimes where it's just like, all right, sometimes you just got to swallow your whistle and let them play. Yeah, and as messed up as that is, think about the best games ever from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. The refs could have easily whistled on a late hit or on a block in the back, but they didn't, and the play went up, you know, 100 yards, and it was one of the best plays of history. So I think that there's a time you need to really be focused in, and then there's a time it's like, it's the last second. Let the game go. Obviously, the integrity of the game matters, but yeah, I'm talking about as an offensive lineman. Just, you know, let that hold go. You know, don't call it. But yeah.
Your style of play is that, though. I mean, you're going to push the limit. You're going to get penalties. Yeah. You don't want to just dial it back and play a, you know, rated PG style.
Well, the best offensive lineman or the highest paid, you got to be athletic, sure, but you got to be able. You got to be a salesman almost. Your hands are inside. You're holding every play. The best offensive lineman holds. Well, any offensive lineman holds every single play. But the ability is to keep yourself in front of the block. Keep your front. You know, there's a couple times where I'll get the guy outside my body and hop over right when the block is coming, and the running back makes, you know, a cut for 10 yards, and the ref doesn't throw anything because I put my head right in front of that last second. You know, kind of feeling stuff like that. I mean, there's also, I think we went over a penalty analysis this offseason, and we're very low. Cleveland is, but I'm very high. So it's like everybody else is like down here. Joel Batonio, 2 penalties. You know, our center last year, JC Treader, 1 penalty, you know, 3 penalties, and I think he might have had some more. But it was funny, like I got like 8 or 9 penalties, but 2 or 3 penalties we sent in and got them reversed. So it's like really only 5 penalties, but it's still like, it still stops the game during the time. It doesn't matter after the game. The refs are like, oh, that's my bad. It's like, okay, give me $50,000.
Yeah. I mean, it's all subjective. I don't, as a player, how do you mentally process that all? Because, I mean, we were talking about it before we started, but like these tight ends, that I talked to for this book I wrote, Mark Bruner, played for the Steelers in the 90s. I mean, he just like blatantly would hold guys like the lobster claw, what his coach called it. It drove guys nuts, but he wasn't called. He figured out a way to like release at the right time, drive guys nuts, and like pass rushers and linebackers, they'd almost have to completely take themselves out of the play for the ref to see that it was a hold. Like they'd have to almost take a dive for the ref to see I'm getting held. So how do you balance that out? Because there's holding every play.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, everything's a tool, and there's like, obviously there's a time to hold, there's a time not to. If he's in your mainframe, any ref is going to tell you, I'm going to give you his chest plate. If you get outside his chest plate, then obviously, or if you're, off of his chest, if you're on the pad, you're going to be fine. That's, I don't expect you to use your elbows. This is in 1950s. But as long as you have your, your head out, your hands, up inside, sometimes I'll work in under where it's, it's right here and it's right under the chest plate, pushing it up where, it kind of gets into their throat and they're not able to run, or they're not thinking about running at least, that kind of helps blocking too. But there's a bunch of different plays, sometimes when you'll be chesting inside and they'll try to rip or something like that, and you grab their elbow, which is technically holding, but it's still inside that front area, so they can't get away, and they drop to the ground, and it's not really holding because you're not pulling them away from their body, you're just stopping from them removing their arm. So there's just a couple of tools that you can use that I guess if a ref really wanted to be nasty, he could call you for holding, but I guess there's holding every single play, and a ref could stop every single play with holding if you really wanted to.
I mean, a reason that you're a nearly $57 million, I can't say $57 million man. You weren't able to cross the finish line, but you can balance, like you're pushing the envelope, right? Like you are challenging that. It'd be easy to not push those buttons and not cross the line and to, just play it safe. But you do have to challenge I guess every crew is different. You got to study the crews, like who's going to call a lot of flags this game, who's not, but you have to push the limit.
Yeah. And I think that for example, I think Joel Bitonio is one of those guys that doesn't really push those limits. He's just really freaking athletic. Even for as big of his guy as he is, I think that he's someone who doesn't hold. He doesn't kind of play like that, but I don't think he's also going to move a lot of people. I love Joel to death, but I think even he would tell you he's not going to move someone 10 yards off the point. I don't think that's his game. He's going to hook someone, run circles around them before they get out of their stance. I think that's more of his game. But I think when you are that, and I hate to see it, mauling kind of guard, you're going to get your people are going to watch you, especially because most runs go right at the lead of attack. And, if you're moving up to a second level and you hook the elbow of a linebacker, you're going to get called if you're, locked up into a tight zone block and you kind of lock the elbow. It's different, so I guess you got to kind of, use it for different things. But, I think that, there's a lot of guards that do it the right way, and there's a lot of guards that, get holding calls. And, I guess I got to move to the technician and instead of the mauler. And I think that'll give me less penalties in the long run.
What's it?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just gonna say, like you said, you did the penalty analysis and you came in below average. That I was thinking maybe that's something to work on, right? Like get up to average.
Yeah.
Might win.
No, and that's
right.
No, and that's 100%, and that's the whole point. Is I think I was trying to beat around the bushes. A ref can call holding on any play. I mean, you're not allowed to grab the other guy, but the refs give you the chest plate, because obviously you have a job to do. So I think that getting my elbows inside, staying in front of the block, speeding up my feet, that's all stuff that I can work on that kind of lowers penalties in the long run, which is, for the best.
Why? What is it like to be a leader, a star player, a go-to guy on the Cleveland Browns right now? I mean, outside looking at, everybody's wondering what the hell is going on with this franchise. Like, you don't know who's going to be quarterback. You know, how long they're going to be quarterback. God, do you follow the news yourself every day? Did you get wrapped up in Deshaun Watson's ordeal, Baker Mayfield's trade? I mean, maybe it's a two-part question because you and Baker are really, really close. Like, how do you process the friendship side of things with the business side of things as this is a team in total flux?
Well, I'm paid a lot of money by the Cleveland Browns, so I always want the Cleveland Browns to win more than my personal relationships. But that also being said, you know, there's our personal relationships, and you know, I've known Deshaun for a couple months, and you know, I'm not going to ever get into the thing of, you know, he said, she said, anything like that. I don't think that's my place to talk. I'm not an attorney. I don't think any of us are. But you know, I think that it's important to just listen. You know, I think it's hard. We always were, you know, innocent until proven guilty, and now with, you know, social media and everything and opinion, and obviously we've always had opinion, but now with social media, it's opinions that are written down, right? So most of the time it's a 1 second thought and you press send, and you know, it could be something that's just a thought, and back in the day you just kept those to yourself because you didn't have social media. Now they're all written down. So you know, I think anybody's entitled to their opinion, and you know, obviously we want to, you know, go with the legality of it. And I hope, you know, whatever happened. You know, if it happens, you know, I think that all gets settled in court. I just want to win games, and you know, whoever the quarterback is, let's just run the ball. I like running the ball anyway. It's less stress.
Better to move forward than backwards.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, it's actually really hard to stop someone who's going forward while you're going backward. But no, I think that it's I hope that it gets handled by the NFL and by him, and you know, he gets into, you know, play games here soon. You know, it's a 4-year contract, so even however long it is, you know, hopefully we can make a run at it when he does play, and hopefully, you know, that's this year. If it's not, you know, obviously, you know, we'll take that as it comes. But you know, with Baker, you know, obviously I want to, like I've said this before, you know, I want to see Baker do well. Baker was my quarterback last year. Just because he's not my quarterback this year doesn't mean, you know, I can't be respectful to him. You know, I still love Josh Allen, and he's not my quarterback. You know, do I have to hate him now? You know, I think that when we look at it kind of like that, you realize, oh, okay, it's just a game. You know, you have these real relationships, these real life, you know, friendships that, you know, you might make a decision or something like that and get moved to another team or get traded or whatever, you know, or, you know, whatever goes down in the league, and you still have that that friendship, that brotherhood, that is the NFL. And I think we saw that after the Buffalo game when, you know, 35 guys lined up to give me a high five, and, you know, just say, hey. So I think that's those relationships that, you know, sometimes can, you know, be lost on fans and media, because why wouldn't you want to be a Cleveland Brown? Like, why wouldn't you want to be a Buffalo Bill? Well, I'm not from Cleveland. I'm not from Buffalo. Not everybody loves this city and dies for this city. You know, so I think that, you know, both of Deshaun and Baker loved Cleveland, but you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously I love Buffalo, and I grew up in Virginia, but you know, I guess I gravitate to these teams because I grew up a Redskins fan and we didn't win a lot of games. So, you know, growing up with a bunch of people my age who were like, yeah, we didn't win a bunch in the 90s and early 2000s. I'm like, same. But yeah, so, but no, I think that, you know, a lot of people get caught up in that, you know, and they forget, like, what if it was at your job? What if your coworker moved to a different job? Would you just stop talking to him? No, you'd still talk to him and you'd still be their friend. It's just, you're not going to talk as much and hang out as much. And, you know, I guess that kind of comes with the territory of what we do.
It's difficult though. There aren't a lot of professions like that where you become, like you said, best friends with somebody, and he goes to a competitor, goes to a different team, a different organization, and now you are facing that person week one, and he is going to do everything in his power to kick your, like, That's Baker's game. Like his game is like to
line up
prove
at
people
3
wrong.
technique, Baker. You want to beat my ass? Line up at 3 technique. You know what I mean? Like I'm not worried about, you can give my defense hell, but you're not trying to whoop my ass. I'm not sure if you knew this, but I blocked for the quarterback.
He's going to want to stick it to the Browns, though. I don't think any game in
know.
Baker Mayfield's career is going to mean more than that opener.
I know. And honestly, I hope he does great and we win by 1 point. You know what I mean? Like I hope he does great things and leads that team. But you know, he's still in a competition. You know, my buddy Baker, he's still in a competition. He's got to go win that thing. So, you know, I think that you know, whoever we do play, they got to go against the best DNs in the country. And you know, I think they revamped their offensive line, and I know a couple guys on their offensive line who are great players. So you know, I hope the best for them, but good luck. I've blocked Miles. He's not easy. You know, Clowney is no joke. So you guys have fun. You know, I have to block them every day in practice. You guys have your work cut out.
Yeah. I mean, Baker did have it pretty good with your line, right? That was a pretty good life for a quarterback with that group you had.
Yeah. We had 2 of the best running backs, which sometimes I don't know why we didn't utilize that a little bit more. I mean, I guess there was a part of the season where we had 2 really beat up backs.
But that Green Bay game, my God, just give it to Chubb and you guys win that game, that drive.
Hey, you know, there's been Super Bowls that have lost by saying, hey, just give it to the power running back, you know. So I can't really be too upset with it. You know, I think that's the coaching. And, you know, I have to do my job. Coach says run right, and there's 15 guys, and there's only allowed to be 11 on the field, and there's 15 guys on the right side of the line. I'm going to run right. I'm going to smash them in the face. Call me a grunt. Call me a soldier. I don't care. You know, if coach says run right, I'm going to run right. I think he knows more than me, or I would be the first player coach ever. But I don't think that's how it goes. This isn't baseball where you can be a true player coach and be the best player on your team and the best coach. But I don't think that's a thing in football.
Have you been hunting any alligators this off season?
No alligators, but I did get this in. My ram's head from my year.
Whoa!
Yeah.
All right,
Still
let's hear the
has
story. For those
still has
listening,
the
we have a ram,
ram
horns, and a skull.
Yeah. So we got ram. You know, Butler. This isn't a toy.
Hey, Butler.
Butler's trying to chew it. But yeah, no, I think that I shot that 2 years ago, and I just got it a year ago. I shot it with the gator, and I just got it this past year, or past like off season. So that's good.
Wow, it took 2 years?
1 full year. Excuse me, not 2 years ago. 1 year ago, when I shot the gator was the same time.
So these guys might not know the full story, but we got to hear the whole gator excursion.
Yeah.
If you don't see
the video, it's not as cool. But basically, I just went down to Florida and I was hog hunting with my buddy. And he was like, "Hey, you know, we one of the outfitters we have right near here. He does gator hunts, and he does pin raised gators. But you know, if you want to come down for local gators, free range gators or whatever they call them, those are going to be a certain season, and they're really hard to get." Well, not really hard to get. There's over 1 million gators in Florida. There's lots of gators, but they're like squirrels almost, but they can kill you. But yeah, no. So
yeah, we got a lot of squirrels here in Western New York, not gators.
Killer squirrels.
Yeah, there's lots of squirrels, not a lot of gators, but I'm not joking. There's a lot of gators all over. You got to really be careful. A lot of dogs, a lot of bad things happen down there with entertainment habitat. But regardless, he was like, "Hey, we can do a pin raised gator, and there's no season for that. You know, they're raised for this, and this is what they're basically used for." So he was like, "Hey, you go in there, you take a fishing pole with a big treble hook, and you throw it over the back of this prehistoric dinosaur, and you hold on." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." So I go out there and throw the treble hook over the gators back that I kind of picked. You can kind of tell how big they are. Obviously, the guides right there being like, oh, that's a 7-foot gator. That's a 9-foot gator. That's a huge gator. That's a little gator kind of thing. They actually have 2 gators there that are like 14, 15 feet, which would be absolutely monstrous gator. Probably like a 70, 80-year-old gator. So that's absolutely insane. But the one that I killed, I think was, 9, 10 feet, 9.5 feet. And it had this huge, big old head on it, which is kind of more of a hen raised gator thing. More of the native local gators, they're going to have a little bit, they're still going to have big heads, but they're not fed as well. They're not maintained as well. So they usually are a little bit smaller than pen raised gators. But this one was probably like 12, 13 years old. And it was pretty cool to experience. But yeah, so they, we brought it to the edge of the water. We humanely put it out. And then
humanely put it out.
What?
You said humanely put it out?
Well, I've hunted my entire life, and I think that anybody can, argue, but I think that using a rifle to kill a deer is way more humane because that deer got to experience the beautiful nature than a pig, being raised in its own poop. You know what I mean? So I eat bacon, so don't get me wrong. I love all kinds of food, but I'm just saying, I think that it was, like I said, I've hunted my entire life, and we use this little 22, mom and pop 1950s rifle, and this big 9-foot gator. As soon as you pull that trigger, it was gone. There was no twitch. There was no struggle. There was no sadness. That gator was gone because you cut the lights off. It's a switch, and you cut the lights off regardless. It was Butler. Stop, buddy. But yeah, no. So it was, when I say humanely, there was no struggle. There was no set. It wasn't like this.
PETA subscribes to go along, so they're gonna be listening. They gotta know.
You'd be surprised, man. I don't have social media, so I'm not the one getting yelled at. It's gonna be my wife. But
if they tried to listen, we would deny. We would not allow them to consume this content. No PETA allowed.
People were attacking my wife and stuff like that. And one person said, wow, you love your dog Butler. Well, how can you kill a dog, a gator, but love your dog? And we were literally like, all right, let me put you in a cage with my dog and he'll lick you to death. Like, that's the only way you'll die is when he licks you to death, versus a gator that, give it about 6 hours and it will make a decision. Your friend or foe, and you're going to be a foe. You know what I mean? It's primal. It's not, there's no love with a gator. Ask any gator handler in the world. The reason I can do this is because I've practiced with this gator 1,000,000 times, and it's not smart. It's just reactionary. You know what I mean? Like, it will kill you. But
that's the perfect way to put it. Like, case closed right there.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, you can, I think that all animals have life and they're beautiful, and it's not like I kill an animal and just leave its body there. I use it and eat it. Obviously I can go to the grocery store and do the same thing, but like I said, at least that deer got to experience nature. So I've always liked hunting. Growing up in Virginia, it's a lot of whitetail hunting, and that's in the fall. So while I have a really cool job, it's not cool for hunting. I have to hunt other things, and that's kind of where I picked up on hog hunting, and then that got me into gator hunting and all the different stuff. So it's cool.
Love it.
How much meat do you get from hog hunting?
What'd you say?
How much meat do you put in your freezer? Percent that you eat per year? 90%?
Yeah. Oh, percentage I probably eat. During the off season, there's a couple times where I'll know. For example, we had a guy on our team this past year, Porter Gustin, who gave me some elk. And he gave me 5 pounds of it. His dad killed one this past year. And that was burgers for almost a month. So that was awesome. But then I killed one deer this past year in Ohio, and I probably got about 20 pounds from that. And I probably ate there's still probably some in my freezer, not much. Probably a pound or two of burger and maybe some steaks or something like that. So not much left. So that's, pretty good. from one.
I'm with you on the ethics of it. That's I know some guys that go down to Texas and hunt hogs, and that's what they eat, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and hogs are amazing too. But the gator was actually pretty cool. So you could ship your meat home. Obviously, that was a case. It would have been expensive. It's probably about $10 a pound. So if you kill a gator and maybe get 25 pounds from the tail, it's $250 to ship. So it does get a little bit expensive. But what else they would do is they would bring it to the local charities down there and local food shelters and stuff like that. So it wasn't like any of this meat or this gator wasn't being used. And I need to get that gator head. I need to talk to someone about it, but it'll come in.
The gator head's still coming in then.
It's still coming in. Hopefully they didn't try to steal it from me. I got a lot of flack from this thing, so I need it.
Hey, this gator will live a better legacy than he ever would have if he didn't meet you, Wyatt. So
See?
You know what though? Like hunting, I'm like the black sheep of my family. It's my grandpa, my dad, my brother, everybody hunts. And I think it was when my brother, he's 2 years younger than me. Like you start with the hunter safety course, right? Like that's the first thing you do when you're 13, 14. And I was a big Green Bay Packers fan as a kid. And the Packers played the Panthers. I'll never forget. It was like 2000 or 2001. And I was like, you know what? Bompy, that's our we call her grandpa. I can't miss this game. I gotta watch it. I think Kabir Bajabiamila had a big game. They Chris Winkie was like the Panthers quarterback. I'm like, I can't go. So I never did the hunter safety course. And then that was it. My brother got into hunting. We have a bunch of land up here in Western New York. He's gotten like 3-4 huge bucks, whitetail. And I just could never just sit in the woods, appreciate, that it's more than just shooting a deer, right? It's like you're amongst nature. You're out there all day for several days, soaking it in. I wish I would have just done it. Looking back, I wish I would have. That was the tipping point. I couldn't miss football.
It's never. Well, it's never too late. I think that people can go hunting, but it's something that like it's a getaway. It's something that calms. It brings you back down to earth. I think we get so stressed and so fast in this world that sometimes it's nice to just sit out there for 4 or 5 hours. Again, I'm not one of those people that sits in their stand for 12 hours and then goes to sleep for 8 hours, wakes back up and does it again. I'm not one of those people. I like to hunt that makes sense. If it's -50 in Cleveland, Ohio, I'm probably not going to be in the stand. But I'm also not going to be in the stand only when it's 40. I think that, the deer move when it's cold and you got to be out there. But, I'm not one of those crazy people that's, I need to feel the tree that I'm, hunting on and make sure that it's, deep from the earth and the deer will come by it. It's like, what the heck are you talking about?
You're not putting like deer urine all over your body, that kind of stuff?
No, none of that. But one thing I got into this past year was bird hunting. And migratory birds and upland birds. And I have a Weimaraner, as you heard him whining, more like a Weimaraner, but no, he's a bird dog. And I took him out this past off season, and he's 2 years old, 2.5 years old now, house dog. And he understood it. He wanted to go out there and find these birds. And, it was actually pretty impressive. He put his nose to the ground and, he was looking and he was, smelling, and it was pretty cool. First time I ever took him out, but so getting into, bird hunting too. I think that's something else that's not like extremely crazy that, you're not sitting outside for 6 hours. It's more of walking through and, doing stuff like that, but it was cool.
Are you nervous about being a dad?
Well, not too bad. I think that, I have a lot of siblings, so I have a lot of nieces and nephews. So I've seen how to do it. Obviously it's different when it's your kid and it's crying every night at 3 a.m. in your house. Obviously I think that's going to be an adjustment. But I think there's nothing more rewarding than putting a good person on this earth. I think if you do your job correctly, and I think that there's a lot of good parents that did their job correctly, their kids still turned out crazy, but I would say that usually good parents lead to good kids, and good kids kind of show good parents. Not always. I think that, some people honor their mother and father by what they did wrong, they do correctly. In some ways, I can, go back to my childhood and be like, hey, I think my dad did this great. I think my mom and dad did do this great, so I'm going to do this better. But, that's all things that it's nice, but I have learned that becoming a dad is just a kid with a kid, it's not like, oh, I read this book and now I'm ready to be a dad.
Yeah.
Hey, my wife's pregnant. I'm about to have a baby. I'm ready to be a dad and, see this little boy grow up and hopefully into a good member of society and a, strong-willed man. So, I think that being a parent, like I said, I think there's nothing more rewarding than, the people you put on this earth and how you treat them and the relationships that you're going to have, because when you're 80 years old, my son's going to have to be taking care of my big ass. I played football for a living, so he didn't have to. But if he does want to play football, he can. I think that that's something that, athletics is going to be pushed to my family. I don't, hey, if you're a bookworm, you be a bookworm too. Don't get me wrong. If you're a smart kid, I will let you be a smart kid. But if you're on the, the brick side, like I was, then let's go play some football and, or play some sports. And, I think that my whole family's always been athletic. And that's something that, my mom, she was a gym coach for 40 years in Fairfax County, Virginia. And my dad, he was, military and, worked odd jobs later on. But, he was a manager at, a couple gas stations and stuff. But, I think that that's something that they always instilled in us was, athleticism and being sports, lots in sports. And usually we didn't get invited to a lot of birthdays because we were the people on the recess that hit the other kids and they didn't like it. So I wasn't the popular kid.
You're breaking sternums in high school, right?
Yeah.
You're breaking everybody's sternum. What are you going to do?
Well, no, actually, my mom told me this story. My first FYF practice, I was playing for the Hornets, and we just got our pads. So I guess it was like the first days of pads. And we had this, this Oklahoma drill, but, it wasn't really an Oklahoma drill because it's a bunch of 5-year-olds. It's more of the, the helmets that are this big and they're running all those little bodies. Yeah. Well, first practice, I go out and just like spear a kid in his sternum, break his sternum. First practice. And literally the coach, my mom comes up and she's screaming. She said, "Oh my gosh, Wyatt, what'd you do?" And the coach is like, "It's going to be okay. This is a good thing." As the kid's crying on the ground that I just speared him, he's like, "This is good. He can run full speed into people. Most kids can't do this." So no, I think that, my mom always knew that I was going to be, something at football. But actually I was a swimmer first. My mom put me in a swim pool first and I was on a
swimmer.
I was on a swim team first. Wow. Pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
I like the way you described it though when we talked. Like when you hear a sternum break, it's like a click, right? Yeah,
it's definitely a weird sound. I mean, anybody who has, I guess a more way of hearing someone's sternum break is when you're doing chest compressions. So like EMTs and stuff like that, they'll hear a couple of sternums crack, and it's a weird feeling and sound. And I would never ever want to do it again. And that's to my worst enemy. I would never want you to break the bone that's over your chest. Like I'm good. You don't. That's something that could just stay there. But yeah, it's like it's weird. It's weird.
So you did it at 5, then you did it again in high school.
Yeah,
right?
No, I did it.
Not college. Maybe you did in college. I don't know.
No, yeah, no. I am a sternum breaker. But no, I think in college, I didn't hurt a lot of people. I don't think. Maybe a lot of egos. College is more breaking ego.
There you go. Well, you're going to love being a dad, man. It's the best. It's like the first few months are chaos. It's just survival. Like you're just getting through the night.
That's what I'm saying.
That's it.
That's the thing about being a father.
But then you don't remember it. You don't remember it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. All the bad parts, you totally forget it. I got 2 kids. They're 4 years apart. When the second one came along, I'm like, I don't remember any of this stuff. The diaper, crying at night, and all that.
No, and that's the thing. That's what everybody says is, the days are long, but the years are short, and you don't remember the hard parts of each day. You just remember the years going by and, the faces changing and everything like that. So I'm no deep thinker, but, I really do believe that this is, it's really special, and I'm excited to see half of my face and half of my wife's face in this little kid. So it's going to be experience. It's going to be exciting, but we're still very early. Prayers and everything are still going on, that, everything's, that everything's going good. But it has so far. I think we just passed 16 weeks or just hit 16 weeks. So we're getting there, but we're still very early. So it's exciting, but I got to paint the nursery and I got to do a lot of work. So it's like, football's right around the corner.
But you think you have to do that though? You can push it off though. Like the first kid, we had the room ready and everything, and then you realize your baby's with you in your room for like 5, 6, 7 months, and so there's no rush. There's no rush.
The baby's due in December, so I have all of off season to do all that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Tell Carly it's okay. It'll be fine.
Yeah, let's hope she listens.
Wyatt,
that's awesome.
You're a legend. Thanks so much for hanging out like this, man. It's great to see you, hear you. We got to keep doing it. You open invite anytime, in person, virtually. You tell me, and we'll bring Andy Janovich on too. What the hell? You can talk some shit to him.
Hey, Andy can drink some alcohol now. I was like, hey, how crazy is this going to get? And you said, I've had Andy on there. I was like, how crazy was he?
He was a good time.
Yeah, no, he can put down
about 10 Busch Lights. Yeah.
Busch Lights.
Yeah. What's funny is when I first met Andy Janovich, this man only drank Busch Lights. I could give him a warm Busch Light and an ice cold Miller Lite, and he would take that Miller Lite, smash it against the ground, take that Busch Light and throw it in his mouth, hot from the truck, a hot Busch Light, and he would love it over a cold beer. So no,
why?
He is definitely.
Why is that?
I mean, crazy. He said, "Do you got beer or do you not have beer?" And I'm like, "No, I have beer." And he's like, "That's not beer."
He's who you have to talk to about being a dad. Like he's had a little one now for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, and his little baby's she's Ronnie. She's the sweetest little girl. She likes to yell just like her daddy does, but she's so sweet, and she's a cutie. She looks just like her dad. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. It's like, what the heck? You guys were spitting images of each other. But Maddie's also amazing. They always say behind a good an amazing great guy is an even better woman, and yeah, that's kind of the case with me and with Andy too.
Well, you guys are both phenomenal. Like same deal. Like he was on here for over an hour, just BS and drinking bushes. It is great to see, like in the NFL. The NFL's gotten so corporate. It is a business, but like what you guys have kind of had the last few years, even as you go to different teams, it's kind of cool to see how close, like you and Andy and Baker and you have a group like with your wives. It's different. I don't think every team kind of has that.
Yeah, and I guess you're right. Like that is something that like I've talked to guys. I had a buddy, and I'm not going to name any teams, but who left Cleveland to go to another team, and he was just like, "Dude, it sucks. Like the women are petty, like the dudes they're flashy. They don't want to do anything like just hang out and be down to earth dudes. They want to be flashy. They want to get a table. They want to fly out for the weekend. It's just like, what happened to just chilling and having a good time, going to a restaurant and having a couple of beers at a bar, like nothing crazy, nothing insane. That's kind of camaraderie and team building and brother building that a lot of teams don't have. And, we used to do Taco Tuesdays with Baker almost every week. And, there was just things that we're not going to have anymore, which sucks, but hey, he's on a different team, and that's a part of life. And I think that's an important lesson we learned, but it's unlike anything else in the world where you have friends. I guess there's bull riders and people who, have to travel, and, artists and entertainers and other people who, travel every day and put those, definitely not financial strains. That's why we do it. That's why we put the relationship strains and, family strains. And I think my mom texted me the other day. She goes, "Hey, we haven't seen you." And I'm like, "Well, I'm training. I'm trying to, lose fat for the season so I don't get hurt." And, it kind of sucks. And it's like, if I don't have, bought a house in Cleveland. So, I'm not going to buy this beautiful house and just let it, collect dust. Might as well live in it. I think that'd be a smarter decision financially. If you're going to buy this big house, you better live in it. But, it's definitely not a poor me. I think that it's an amazing thing, but, it does suck when the media is like, "Oh, how you got to hate them now." And it's like, what are you talking about? I love Cleveland, but I love Buffalo. I want to see Buffalo win every single game that they're in, except for when they play the Cleveland Browns, right? It's like I have ties and I have these friends and I have these relationships that obviously I want to see them do the best. And I think that sometimes, our world is so fast and it's so black and white. It's got to be this way that, we forget that every issue and every problem is complex and it's much deeper than the face issues. I think that that's what I've learned in my 5 years in the NFL. But there's a lot of those brotherhood or a lot of those relationships that they're going to be for life. And, that's one of those with Baker. That's one of those with Andy. It's those guys that, whenever I'm in Wisconsin, whenever I'm in Nebraska, Baker's wife is from Nebraska, and Carly, like I said, Carly met all of her friends from Nebraska. And, whenever we're in Austin, now we know people, and I don't know anybody in Nebraska. I don't know anybody in Wisconsin. I don't know anybody in Texas, not a lot of people in Texas. So it's like, it's good to be able to have those relationships where a job for, hopefully you play for 15 years, but that's just not the case for everyone. Kind of builds up those relationships for life. That's awesome.
It's just so refreshing to hear. I think the NFL has become so dehumanized in so many ways. Like, you guys are just faces behind a face mask, names to plug into a fantasy lineup, just, people kind of moving in transactions. I mean, when we had Andy on, he talked about when he got traded from Denver to Cleveland, and it's just great to hear, like, you guys are friends, like, and friendships can last for life. That shit matters. It really does.
Yeah, it does. But no, it's awesome. And those are the things you always, you always try to remind yourself of, and the reasons you play the game each year. You have to remind yourself because the season's long and the season's a grind. So you kind of have to each week remind yourself, all right, why am I trying to get better? What's the point of me getting better this week? Well, I want to be the best at what I do. I want to win. I want to win every game that we have. I mean, why would we be out there? Why would we be keeping score if we didn't want to win? So I think that's the case with the team we have. And I think that the Browns, if we stay healthy, last year I thought we were going to win a lot of games, and we didn't stay healthy, and we didn't win a lot of games. And, everybody's like, "Oh, Super Bowl?" Well, of course, we're Cleveland Browns fans. Of course we think we're going to the Super Bowl. But, I think that it's, important to stay healthy. I always pray for that, as a team. We can win or lose. I really want to win, but we can win or lose, but I pray for health.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wyatt, great to see you, man. Thanks so much for doing this.
Of course. I'll see you. Thank you.
You didn't drink much whiskey though. I hope you're able to finish that glass off.
Oh, I drank 3.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone. I guess you didn't drink it. Okay, never mind.
And I'm not drinking like 60 proof or like little beers. I'm drinking like 130.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, we're pounding Juice Box Boy from Hamburg.
Yeah,
here, so it's a little different.
Beer, don't get me wrong, but when you got nice stuff, you gotta savor it. You can't just sip it. You can't just shoot it. You gotta sip it and enjoy it. But all right, see you guys.
Great to see you, man. Like I said, open invite. Thanks a lot, Wyatt.
Yes, sir. All right, see you guys.
Thank you.